Hey guys, we're back again. This is Continuing Education. I am Minister James Moss, and we are here in the book of Luke, chapter 23, and we're going to cover verses 6 through 12. This one is Jesus stands trial before Herod, okay? And I want to make sure that I don't go past our prescribed reading, okay? All right, so here we go. Herod was ecstatic that he would be able to see Jesus. He had heard so much about this mysterious miracle-working man from Galilee, but Herod was severely disappointed. Jesus remained silent. He would not answer Herod's questions, much less perform any miracles. All right, so there's a quick introduction. Here we go. All right. When Pilate heard of Galilee, he asked whether the man were a Galilean. And as soon as he knew that he belonged unto Herod's jurisdiction, he sent him to Herod, who himself also was at Jerusalem at that time. And when Herod saw Jesus, he was exceeding glad, for he was desirous to see him of a long season, because he had heard many things of him and he hoped to have seen some miracle done by him. Then he questioned with him in many words, but he answered him nothing. And the chief priests and scribes stood and vehemently accused him. And Herod with his men of war set him at naught and mocked him and arrayed him in a gorgeous robe and sent him again to Pilate. And the same day Pilate and Herod were made friends together, for before they were at enmity between themselves. All right, so two enemies become friends on the same day, surrounding the same circumstances. All right, so here we go. Verses 6 and 7. When the religious leaders mentioned that Jesus had been in Galilee, Pilate wanted to know if Jesus was a Galilean. Jesus had grown up in Nazareth and later had made Capernaum his base. He was indeed under Herod's jurisdiction. This was the Herod who had killed John the Baptist. Herod, also called Herod Antipas, was himself in Jerusalem that weekend for the Passover celebration, mainly as a tactic to please his subjects. Pilate hoped to pass Jesus off onto Herod. Verses 8 and 9. Herod may have been delighted to finally see Jesus, but he had already closed his window of opportunity to hear the message. John had spoken to him. Herod had killed John. Herod's motivation here was only to see Jesus perform a miracle. He apparently saw Jesus as no more than an amazing traveling sideshow. When Jesus was brought before him, Herod asked him questions, but Jesus refused to answer. Herod is the only person to whom Jesus said nothing at all. Herod had not listened to John. Jesus had nothing to add to what John had said. Cold and cruel, Herod had a hard heart. Jesus knew this and remained silent. Verse 10, the religious leaders had hoped for a quick sentence from Pilate so they could return to their religious duties during this important Passover celebration. But they had already had to trek with Jesus from Pilate's residence over to Herod's palace, and now Herod was wasting more time. So they shouted their accusations, probably with more of the same kinds of lies. They hoped their accusations would sway Herod so they would get a verdict from him that would be as good as one from Pilate. Verses 11 and 12. With his prisoner refusing to answer and looking very little like a great miracle worker, Herod and his soldiers began mocking and ridiculing Jesus. Angry at Jesus' refusal to even answer questions for him, Herod resorted to mocking Jesus. To make fun of Jesus' claim to be a king, Herod put a royal robe on him. Herod did not even take the charge seriously, so he neither released the prisoner nor made a judgment about his guilt. He simply sent him back to Pilate. Herod and Pilate had a rather tenuous relationship, but because neither man knew what to do in this predicament, their common problem made them friends that day. All right, so again, here we go. They're trying to get a verdict, and then it's like, okay, we're going to run over here. Pilate, we need you. I find no fault in this man. But I tell you what, this is Herod. He's from Galilee. Send him over to Herod. Herod knows this better than I do. Herod, we got a blasphemer. We got this. Really? Let me question him. This Jesus. I've been wanting to check him out. I've been wanting to see him. I want to meet him. I want to meet him. Are you this? Who are you? This or that? You're not answering any questions. Why? Why aren't you answering my questions? I'm King Herod. Don't you know who I am? Blah, blah. You're the king of the Jews? Put a robe on him. Let him be king for a day. Send him back over to Pilate. Okay, so we get the picture, right? Okay. All right, so look, take time. Go back into the scriptures. Read. Understand what you're reading. Ask God for revelation. And then after that, ask him to give you application. Until next time, God bless you. God keep you. And remember to continue to keep studying.